Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Lost Eternal show, episode number 3, where we're going to talk all about Lost Ark and Lineage Eternal. Now, I just wanted to remind you guys about what these episodes are about. They're both abouts, lots of abouts. The whole episodes are about abouts. No, I just want to remind you guys that these are gameplay discussion videos and not focused on new news, because very little news comes out. Weekly chat, join in if you want. If not, then yeah, just tell me how much you hate it and in the comments and move along. Alrighty, so a big topic from last week's episode was the graphic downgrade in Lost Ark. Now, we haven't actually seen this in Lineage Eternal, so today I'm going to discuss all about it. Now, to give you a little bit of reference, I want you guys to check out a video that was released by another YouTuber called KineticGTR. I'll put the link in the description below. Now, first of all, I can't give enough credit because this is a 20-minute video coming from an editor to an editor, content creator to content creator. I know this dude put 3 or 4 hours into this video, so go and check it out. It's really interesting, and it's going to be the focus point for the start of the show anyway. So go and watch the video and come back, and maybe subscribe to him as well. Give him some love or something. I don't know. Show him some love. So this is the type of information that's extremely valuable, and I think it's worth noting. So to give you some context, if you didn't go and watch the video, essentially they released a trailer in, I believe, 2014, and then released another trailer, 2015, then released another trailer in a focus test group video that came up, and the graphics were significantly different, and it appears to be downgraded quite a lot. Now, I want to start off by saying that both these games have been in development for an extremely long time. I talked about how Lineage Eternal was getting mentioned years and years ago. That's when they got started in development. It's said that they're made on Unreal Engine 3, and Unreal Engine 4 has come, and, you know, there's so much cool stuff that they can do. But let's talk directly about the actual changes from both trailers. Now, the question that I really think most of us should ask is, number one, the graphics that they showed, can they actually pull this off in a modern MMO? Is it, like, technically possible? Because straight away we can eliminate one factor of them, you know, orchestrating the trailer, you know, adding in some kind of graphical enhancements that they can't achieve just to make the game look good. And they've definitely added a lot of orchestrated events. And there's just some cool editing tricks that they've used as well to make the graphics look very good too, like sharpening, saturation, and that kind of stuff. But there's actually texture changes as well. Let's jump back to the previous point. So can they actually pull this off in an MMO right now? And the answer is yes. Now, the most recent MMO, which I have brought up consistently in the past, and I think it's going to be a running theme, was Tree of Savior. Now, that game is not a good example of, you know, the highest generation of amazing graphics. Not to put anything down about that game, it's just not aimed at that type of gamer. It's just not it's not pushing the technical limitations. In saying that, MMOs that are coming out right now, like Black Desert Online, these MMOs are pushing the technical limitations, and it is definitely possible to pull off what they have shown. Now, the fact that they've displayed 2 different types of graphics leaves a lot of open questions for myself. If you're going to display a trailer with a certain standard of graphics and then, you know, show another trailer that's completely downgraded, I don't think these guys have downgraded the graphics. I'm not even paraphrasing here, guys. I'm just genuinely, you know, using my melon. Yeah, I don't think that they've, you know, they're clearly showing off a downgraded version. They know it, we know it too. What the hell? Now, this immediately tells me that they're going to be moving into other spaces, or they've got ridiculous, features in the graphical settings. They've definitely gone through a lot of changes. There's lots of actual physical features missing from the game. Now, the reason why a lot of these guys do downgrade to stuff is because they want to reach out to lesser platforms. Now, as far as I understand it, I don't think Lost Ark and Lineage Eternal has any plans to bring out the game on PS4 and Xbox. That's just a guess. They're clearly targeting PC, but they're also targeting mobile devices. Now, that's a massive gap between those two. I mean, it'd make a lot of sense if you were going to reach to the mobile platform, you would reach to consoles as well. like the PS4 and Xbox. Now, Lineage Eternal has already talked about this. It's already confirmed that, yeah, Lineage Eternal will be a mobile game. And I wanted to say that if you guys aren't like super up to speed with how good action RPG games look on mobile right now, as in games that have already been released or are getting released in the very near future, and just remember, Lost Ark and Lineage Eternal have no official release date. So these games already have come out. Not only that, a lot of these games were pre-conceptualized a lot later than Lineage Eternal and Lost Ark. In other words, you know, these guys have been working on these games for so long now. This is based on what they've released in the press, whereas some of these mobile games, you know that they've turned over in a year or two. So you can clearly see that they've, you know, built these games on the technology. Unfortunately, technology moves quicker than a lot of these guys can work on their projects. So it seems like that's definitely one thing that I feel like I haven't really spoken about a lot, and a lot of people don't often mention, is that you can work on a game for 2 or 3 years and then find out, you know, the tech is just way better and you have to kind of scrap what you got. And if you don't scrap what you have, then we start to see what we often see on Steam, especially most recently in unfortunately JRPGs, you know, where the games are, and Western ones as well, by the way, but just most notably this year anyway, games capped at 30 FPS, you know, horrible textures, horrible graphics. That's when the developers go, oh, you know, we have to bring out the game. There's no more money to go and restart it all again. So that's one thing to consider when you're talking about graphic downgrades. Now, the other thing is that if they're going to pull this off for a mobile device, yeah, they are going to have to take away certain features. So really quickly, one of the ways that these guys are actually able to pull off fantastic graphics in the future, like in games that we will see coming out maybe about a year or so, 2 years from now, not so much the games coming out now. A lot of them use a streaming technology where they essentially take the burden off having to load the graphics. Look, if your phone can display a high definition image, that's great. You know, as high def as your actual device can display, then yeah, it's possible. But when you actually are running on an internet connection and you're anywhere around the world, then you have to consider how fast can that data transfer into a person's actual device. They're essentially using the streaming technology where they're taking the burden off. They're using crazy amounts of server space because they know that there's a larger demand. Internet speeds are quite fine on devices and they're carrying the burden for it. Now, the reason why I'm talking about all of this stuff is because these guys are clearly targeting mobile as well. And when I see a trailer like this, it's easy to assume that, you know, this is gameplay not directed towards the PC, although you can't rule that out either. Maybe they did just step shit down a lot to compensate for poor internet connections. It's very, very obvious that they have massively downgraded the graphic. And I mean, if they're going to display what they have in the trailer and then show off something else and it's not for another device or it's not for a specific reason, like, you know, adjusting to a worldwide audience and we have to compensate for, you know, internet connections in Australia, in, you know, certain areas in America, which just don't have that, you know, South Korean ridiculously good internet speed, then that's understandable at the same time. I'll be very disappointed if they do release the game on the second version of the actual graphic downgrade. I'll generally be very disappointed because it is technically possible that they are going to pull it off. Now, I want to give you guys a bit of reference around this as well, because there's a lot of cool stuff we can take a look at. When we're talking about actual physical things that are different, where, you know, there's bits of buildings that are missing and all that kind of stuff. Try to understand that when a lot of these guys are making games, there's a huge focus on silhouette as well. So how easy is it to identify? I won't go into a lot of detail because I don't know enough about it, but I do know that a lot of these art directors like just obsess about character silhouettes, and it also goes for landscape as well. Now, if we look at a very old version of Diablo 3, when they very first showed off the game, you're going to see a map that doesn't actually exist anywhere in the game, but you can see similar textures and similar things that are, but just not this specific map. So they've displayed this trailer and it looks way different now in the actual games. But one thing to note is that there's no graphical downgrade whatsoever. What you see in that trailer is what you get. In fact, Reaper of Souls looks a lot cool with the actual dynamic lighting and that kind of stuff. So there's so many factors, it's almost impossible to actually nail down. What devices are they bringing this on? Who recorded the video and uploaded it? Is this for a certain device? This is for the PC. What was the post-editing production that they added to the video? Did they orchestrate higher textures just to make the game look cooler? And, map design, yeah, the game changes. It's been a very, very long time since they've been working on this game since. But to say that that's going to be the final product is a massive stretch. So I wanted to add in something very cool here while we're on the topic of graphics, actually. And it was around art direction and how the isometric view really changes the style of graphics and what's actually needed. So recently, someone posted a glitch in Dark Souls 3, which made the camera a top-down view, not quite a, hack and slash-esque view, pretty much the same thing, just slightly off. And what you can notice from these both these videos, Diablo 3 and Dark Souls, is that the graphics by all means are very, very different. But from that top-down view, you can tell that the quality and high detail that went into Dark Souls 3 gets significantly lost when you have that style of camera view. And I found this really unique. It showed me that you can pump amazing graphics into an action RPG, and you can make a game like The Witcher 3 look, those style of graphics, and then apply them to that particular camera, and all of the detail and quality is quite often lost. Not all, but most of it is actually lost. It'd be a wise choice, I think, for the devs to, not go all out on the latest, insane, crazy technology, because most of it just gets lost from the camera view. So I found that really interesting, Alrighty, so another big topic that you guys talked about from last episode was a comment I made about Diablo 3, how I felt that, Diablo 3 has insanely good weighty combat, and I don't think Lost Ark will significant leaps above Diablo 3. I want to make some clarity because a lot of you guys jumped in the comments and said, look, I play Diablo 3. Like, I'm not a hater on the game, but man, like, have you, honestly, like, can you seriously say that it's going to be not as good? So I wanted to, add on top of that and to say that I really feel that Diablo 3 has done some extremely innovative work. And until you actually play a game, it's really hard to tell. And I totally agree how Lost Ark and Lineage Eternal, how it looks so much more weightier and it just feels like it is a lot stronger. But a lot of the stuff I feel like comes from having actually played the game before and felt it as a person. And I think that they can definitely match it. I think the idea of like leaps and bounds above it is often, exaggerated through a trailer. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, it looks amazing, it looks crazy good, it looks heavily weighted, but at the same time, like, the animations, the visuals of it look good. You know what I mean? Like, you can orchestrate that stuff very, very well. Honestly, like, my own personal perspective is that I hope it is weightier, and it does appear weightier in the trailers. But my instincts from just looking at so many games over the years is that I hope it matches D3, and if it does go better, that's going to be awesome. So in terms of like weight and action combat, and yeah, I know a lot of people are going to hate that comment, but that's just what I think anyway. I don't think a lot of people give enough credit to it's easy to rip on Diablo 3 because it's so popular too, but it really is extremely innovative. So we'll see how it all turns out, guys. I hope it does get really, really weighty, good combat, because the animations are so over the top. I tell you what, guys, I was actually really, really excited about a game called Wolcen Umbra at the time, and I played it, and it's in such early access that I couldn't really get a good I couldn't really get right into the game because they had so much work that had to be done on it. But I will say that it felt really, really weighty and really, really cool, and the animations were extremely over the top, just like Lost Ark and Lineage Eternal. That was the best thing about that, knowing that they can push stylistically way more. Like, if you're going to come down with a big hammer attack or a seismic slam, and it's going to, spill out all of this stuff, and you look at it and you're like, oh, that's cool. But then you see it in a game like Wolcen from an indie dev in France, and you're like, man, they could have really pushed the limits. Just to throw back as well to, how art directors obsess about silhouettes. If you've got 4 people in the same party all dropping the screen, the whole screen will look white, and you can't even see what you're actually doing. Just be flashes everywhere. Have a seizure or something like that. Yeah, I definitely do appreciate the over-the-top graphics. I think there's a lot of cool stuff here. But anyway, let's keep moving on, guys. So you guys have some really, really good questions from the last episode that I wanted to talk about. So let's jump into them. Now, there's 3 questions here. I'm not going to try to say usernames because number 1, I don't know if you want to have a username in a video. And number 2, someone disagrees and then targets you out. I'll probably butcher your username. So anyway. Here we go. So question number 1, Lost Ark and Lineage Eternal, will it only be for PC? Definitely not. We know that Lineage Eternal is doing the mobile thing, and they're using their own technology, a streaming tech that's going to make the game look ridiculous on phones. And it's amazing. They're going to carry the burden of making the game look better for their servers. That's the way I kind of see it anyway. Also, just on that topic, Unreal Engine has new tech for mobile that looks insanely good compared to what's available right now. They look like PC games from, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. And that's a long time, but you gotta think about it. Pick up your phone, like this is a tiny little phone, and it's pulling out what your whole PC did 5 or 6 years ago. It's incredible what these titles can do now with a lot of these new engines anyway. So, and by the way, I hate mobile games. I don't play any games on my phone, like not even one. Like I don't play games 100%. So this is a down for me, but I also understand that a lot of people do, and a lot of people do like it. And just because I don't doesn't mean that someone else shouldn't. The PC Master Race crap is kind of a bit old. Lineage Eternal is definitely targeting mobile. I assume Lost Ark is probably compensating for that. They've gone, okay, yeah, Lineage Eternal, they're going mobile. We better do the same thing. And that's got a lot to do with the graphic downgrades as well. That's my honest opinion. So question number 2, I can't answer. Honestly, no one can answer that question for you. Question number 3 is, have these games been released in other countries? And the answer is no, they haven't been released in other countries. Go and check out last episode though, because it looks like someone got a hold of the beta of Lineage Eternal. So that's as far as we know, and as far as they've gone. And trust me, when we know when the game comes out, you'll hear it first. You'll hear it first, I guarantee you. Okay, so I want to play Lost Ark and Lineage Eternal. Where can I find their official website, Facebook, or any other information for beta start and release? So what I'm going to do is add all the links below, but I also wanted to add on top of this and say, if you are interested in playing these games, you can actually sign up for a beta. You have to have a Korean phone number. And the other thing is, like, I can't wait to get my hands on these games. Both of them, Lineage Eternal and Lost Ark, but I wouldn't give anyone my phone number for a game sign up, full stop. Like, I don't know if it's the norm in Korea, but yeah, I'm not giving away my phone number. That's just my thoughts anyway. But yeah, you can definitely sign up for the beta. You just have to have a Korean phone number. If not, then welcome to the non-Korean phone number party, my friend. Alrighty, guys, so just before I go, ask me some questions or some topics you want to hear me talk about that I can share my experience with you guys for next week's episode, because there's not a lot out there in Lost Ark. There's not a lot out there in Lineage Eternal, but everything that is out there, I've definitely gone over it, like, way too much. So I can definitely try and answer those questions for you, or at least apply my experience from covering so many games in the past. Anyway, thanks for joining me as always for another Lost Eternal episode. I hope you enjoyed the discussion. Join me next week for another episode for sure. Same time. Catch you next time. See you guys.